Hey everyone, it's Blair here at Time Trades. Thanks for joining me this weekend. We are going to be updating our forecast now for Sunday, September 25th and the week ahead. So this is where we left off last week. I would give myself an A for this forecast. We left this yellow arrow unchanged here on the NQ futures. And after a few days of indecision early in the week, then the downtrend kicked in on Thursday and Friday quite aggressively. So definitely a successful forecast. We got 5 red days in a row as implied by the yellow arrow here. Now, we've got some interesting stuff coming up this week and happening right over the weekend as well. I am going to be updating this arrow. So let me walk you through the thought process here on what the new forecast is going to look like going forward. All right, so there's a number of reasons that one can expect to start to see a trend change happening. I'm going to go through them here, but that doesn't mean we won't see lower lows. We may indeed see lower lows than what we got on Friday, and typically bearish momentum on Friday carries over onto the following Monday morning. However, that being said, if you are a late bear, it's not a good time to get on this train. Coming up in the next week or so, we're starting to see potential for a change in trend here. So want to make sure everyone is on top of that. Okay, so first reason for a potential change in trend, we've got the Gann wave green here. Now it's showing as September 27th on this chart, but that's not the correct date due to a TradingView bug. The correct date is on the QQQ chart, and you can see here the Gann wave green is September 26th. You can see in the past how Gann wave greens have tagged changes in trend. Well, just Gann waves in general, those are the yellow and the blue lines and the green lines as well. Yellow being the peak of the cycle, blue being the bottom of the cycle, green being the 0 point. Okay, so you can just imagine a sine wave oscillating through these points. And what we see here is the last Gann wave green, we got a very good turn in the Qs right up here at the 310 magic level, and it's basically been downhill since then. Okay, now that doesn't mean we get a sharp V bottom here, but it's one. It's possible. It's possible on Monday that we could get a V bottom. There are other reasons as well, other things going on. The second thing is the sun reached fall equinox on Friday. Okay, so these seasonal events with the sun and the seasons and the solar calendar do tend to exhibit changes in trend or drive changes in trend. We can go back here to June 21st. That, of course, is the summer solstice, and that was within 2 days of a major bottom in the Qs over here at 270, and it's interesting that we're revisiting those price levels. So that's the second reason for a potential change in trend, is we just had the sun hit the fall equinox state. Third reason is if we go over to time trades, we're going to take a look at Mercury now. So if we turn on the short-term waves, I look at these from time to time. Yellow is Mercury's speed. Okay, so it's reaching the peak negative speed over here on Monday, and negative, of course, is measured geocentrically relative to Earth. What that means is the degrees per day relative to Earth is reaching its peak negative speed. So this is in relation to Mercury's retrograde cycle as well. the apparent speed of Mercury in the sky is negative. Of course, it's not actually moving backwards, it's just relative to Earth. Okay, so when we look back in the past and see what happened around prior Mercury speed negative peaks, I guess, troughs, we can see that tends to tag some major lows, right? So we go back here, May 20th in the Qs, got that almost to the day. Okay, let's go and look at some more over here. We've got January 21st within a day of the January 24th spike low. If we go over here, we've got October 11th. That's pretty close, within like 4 or 5 trading days of the October 4th low. Keep going back here. Mercury negative speed was right around here on June 9th, and that was within 6 calendar days of the June 3rd low here. So you can go back and take a look at this yourself, but it's in general a pretty reliable indicator, kind of plus or minus, 4 or 5 calendar days on identifying intermediate timescale lows. Okay, so that is the second reason why we're looking out for a potential trend change here. Third reason. First being Gann wave green. Second is sun reached equinox. Third is Mercury peak negative speed. Fourth is we just had a Mercury Sun conjunction. So let's go and take a look at that. So it's pretty easy to see in time trades because we've got this feature that I don't show off very often in these videos, but it's called the Wheel of 24. And if you're not familiar with the Wheel of 24, this is based on the work of Jean Long. And she wrote this great book called The Universal Clock. You can find it pretty easily. I think it's off copyright, so you can just download the PDF guilt-free, grab that off of Scribd or anywhere else on the web. But the idea behind the universal clock is based on a lot of Gann's work. If you take 360 degrees of a circle and turn it into basically 15 rings of 24 each. So here we've got the first ring of 24 is on the inner side, so that's 24 degrees. And then the second lap goes in the second ring around that. The idea here is that if you divide 360 degrees in a circle into a series of 15 concentric rings of 24, then you can spot different planets on there according to their longitude. Okay, so right now both Mercury and Sun, having had a conjunction, are on the same spoke of this ring. Okay, so what that means is when we use the universal clock feature, or sorry, the Wheel of 24 feature, which is based on the book called The Universal Clock, and we turn on Sun and Mercury here, then where the lines cross, that means they are on the same spoke of the wheel. Okay, so we can use this information to see what happened in the past when Mercury and the Sun were on the same spoke of the Wheel of 24. So we just had one on Friday. We can see Mercury is green and Sun is orange here. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit, make it a little bigger. Okay, so we had a cross here on September 23rd, September 23rd on Friday. Let's go back and see what happened the last time we had a cross here. So last time we had a cross was probably right around September 7th. Okay, that was within 1 day of a low. So in this case, this was basically the start of Mercury retrograde. When Mercury's line starts to decline like this, that means it's it's perceived to be moving backwards in space. So that's visible here using this Wheel of 24 feature. So let's go back and see the last cross prior to that. And here we are, August 12th. We're within basically 1 or 2 days of the local top there. Let's go see the last one. Over here, we're on July 15th, and that's within a couple days of the July 13th low. We go back over here and we see, oh, that's not a cross here. That's close, but it's not a cross. We'll ignore that one. This one's definitely a cross. So we've got, again, Mercury crossing the sun. So it's on the same spoke of the Wheel of 24, and that nailed the low here to the day on May 20th. So that's another reason why we should be looking out for a change in trend. And this is also using the Wheel of 24 feature built into time trades. And then finally, more traditional metric is just if we go and take a look at the put call ratio. This is put call ratio daily data. We can see it's up here in the area where lows and price tend to be made. The last time we were up in, over 1.2, well, of course, we had September 16th with the CPI numbers. But before that, we were in the June lows, right? When we were making the lows just prior to the summer solstice, June 16th. So we're in a area here on the put call ratio that where lows tend to be made. Okay, so if you're a late bear, it's not a good time to be starting a position here. If you're a bear like me and have existing positions, it's time to start lightening up and banking some of those profits that we should have. All right, so that's some of the potential changes in trend. Let's go and take a look at the dollar, because the dollar is just in beast mode right now. And we can use the symbol UUP in time trades. And it's kind of convenient to look at the dollar right now, because not only is it really driving the markets, it's probably the most important part of the markets right now. Everything seems to be an inverse dollar trade. Also, it happens to have the clearest time trades forecast. We can see here that we boosted up quite a bit last week, but there's still a forecast for a pivot high coming up October 3rd. Okay. However, that being said, we've got a few red days here, and these red days could contribute to a little bit of a relief rally in stocks. So after October 3rd, we start to see an increasing amount of red. So I'm looking at the dollar to sort of enter topping mode at the moment. And after October 3rd, it should start to make some lower lows. We can take a look at it on TradingView here and see what can it tell us. So we're looking at the dollar index futures daily, and it's entered this new magic level band here from 109 up to 118. And I've put on some Pythagorean sub-levels, so you can create some sub-levels here. And these are the settings that I've used. These are just Pythagorean ratios. I got these from Connie Brown's book, works really well. So you're welcome to use these. Connie Brown has an amazing book called The 30-Second Jewel, which is the source of a lot of different ideas for time trades. Pythagorean ratios is one of them. So using these ratios, we can break down a magic level into what I call sub-levels. And these are potential locations for where the dollar could be topping out over the next week or so. Over here, we see October 3rd. October 3rd is that peak of the probabilities of a pivot high in the dollar. So if we go over to time trades, we can see we've got October 3rd right on that Gann wave blue. And we can see how the Gann waves have been tagging the major inflection points in the dollar really consistently. So, you know, it would make sense if around October 3rd, we would land somewhere on one of these Pythagorean ratios. I don't know which one yet, but it would be great to see some sort of turn occur, maybe up here at 114, right? So that would make a lot of sense and be consistent with kind of past behavior in the dollar. Okay, so that's UUP, and that's really driving the bus, so to speak, on almost every other market that's out there. So if we go and take a look at some of the other symbols we've got, so let's take a look at the Qs, and we can take a look at what's happening in the future forecast here. So we're going to just turn off the wheel of 24. And we're going to show our magic levels, and we're going to show Gann waves. We can see in the Qs we've got, you know, certainly some increasing probability of green starting to dominate here. We've got a potential pivot high October 24th. You know, we can see the red probabilities of down days starting to decrease. So there's definitely a shift happening in the Qs in the forecast. So let's take a look at what else we've got here on the spiders. Spiders similar, you know, we've got decreasing probabilities of down days heading up into a pivot high later in October. How about the Dow? The Dow has another pivot high in October combined with some green days here. It looks like there's still some down probabilities happening, but they are decreasing. They're decreasing up into this potential pivot high on October 5th. So that kind of contradicts a lot of what else we're seeing here. So this is definitely something to be aware of when you're looking at the probabilities and time trades, is to not sort of over fixate on the probabilities too much, because there will be times when they do contradict each other, and this is one of those times in the Dow. So definitely start with price and then layer in the Gann wave information and other context before you start incorporating the probabilities into your decision process. Okay, so that's the Dow. Let's look at some of the major stocks that we're tracking here. We've got Apple. Apple, again, looks like it's going to have another wave down into October 3rd, but then the down movement probability really backs off here. And even though there's very little green to be seen, there's definitely a gap in the down pressure here in late October as well. So that tends to correlate with some of the QQQs. There's still some contradictions here, of course, because we do see pivot highs happening at the same time as peak in down probabilities. So obviously one of these is wrong, and that happens in time trades. That's normal. These are 4 separate independent machine learning models. So they will get out of sync depending on how they get trained up and the nature of the training and the data that the algorithm sees. Okay, so that's Apple. NVIDIA also, we looked at last week. NVIDIA has another very clear forecast here. We can see a pivot low October 4th. That's kind of in line with what we're seeing with the dollar. Another wave down later this week into October 4th, and then a solid 3 weeks of green heading up into late October. So it's important to sort of, I guess, prepare for the potential of a rally starting in October here. But we still need to complete this down move and, of course, wait for price to confirm our expectations going forward. Okay, so that's NVIDIA. Let's take a quick look at UNG. It's starting to show signs of life here. I tweeted out that NG futures just wick down to a white magic level. We're looking at UNG, so it's not around a white magic level here. But we are seeing a nice cluster of green days coming up after October 3rd, and that's in alignment with pivot high on October 6th. So again, let's keep a close eye on UNG. This could be a nice little bullish play. When it runs, it can really run. And also, of course, we're in extreme weather season in the Gulf as well, with a bunch of hurricanes heading through, and those always have the potential to disrupt gas supply. Okay, so that's UNG there. And next up, let's take a look at crypto. We've got Bitcoin. So Bitcoin has a pretty neutral looking forecast. So there's not much edge that we can get from the probabilities here. In cases like this, it's usually a good idea just to focus in on price action and look at the direction of the last magic level cross and trade in that direction. So the last 2-3 magic level crosses have been to the downside. So just to keep things simple, I'd like, if you see an opportunity here, like my preference would be to trade this from the short side to stay in line with those magic level crosses. And also you can see, take a look at what happens with respect to the Gann wave blue. It's got a bit of a history here of aligning with lows recently. So we can go back in time. Gann wave blue is a low September 6th. Gann wave blue is kind of in the middle of the range, August 9th, but it's definitely a low over here, July 13th, and a low over here, June 15th. So just based on those two observations about trading in the direction of the last magic level cross and an upcoming Gann wave blue on October 3rd, I'd be looking for downside opportunities here on Bitcoin. Ethereum looks a little bit more bullish with a cluster of green days here right around October 3rd again. So the opportunity here, I think, is really just to be patient and wait for price to align with this forecast. We don't want to jump into any trades anticipating or expecting this will happen. Let's wait and see if this really does happen, and we can use that as an opportunity to sort of leg into a long trade here. The probabilities definitely look better after October 3rd, and Ethereum also shows that same kind of behavior around Gann wave blues that you can use to your advantage here. It tends to identify ends and downtrends and also starts of multi-day uptrends here. So even though we've got this big probability before the Gann wave blue, it may be prudent just to hang out and wait for October 3rd. Okay, so that's Ethereum, and we're going to wrap things up with LTI. This is Larsen and Toubro on the National Stock Exchange in India. So it's just really chilling out here right below the magic level at 44.71. And that's fine. There's no real rush to do anything here with this guy. Again, probably makes sense just to watch and wait until October 3rd, and then we see an increase in update probabilities and that aligns nicely with the Gann wave yellow here. So we can just be patient and watch this one and see how the price action evolves over the next few days. Okay, so that's it for me. Thanks for joining me this weekend. Good luck trading, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye now.